there were times with Davenport and Onwuzurike, I think in the first game they met at the quarterback, and Levi Onwuzurike has been a force. I will bow to Dan Campbell, when he talked about him and said glowing things about him, and you bought in right away, and King and I were both like, well, I mean, I want to buy in, but I want to see it. I was afraid it was going to be more coach speak. Levi's played awfully well, and he's been playing outside. Doesn't have to play inside next to DJ Reader, next to Lee McNeil. He can play outside, and he's getting the job done, and he looks like a different player altogether, and perhaps this is the guy that they envisioned, as you like to say, the dancing bear out of Washington.
Yeah, so a couple things here, and you tell me if you think this is relevant information. Sam Laporta last year caught 10 touchdowns. Do you know how many of those came inside the red zone? Because, we talk about red zone, scoring, finishing drives in the red zone.
I would guess like 7.
That's exactly how many. Josh Reynolds caught 5 touchdowns. You know how many came inside the red zone?
3 or 4?
4.
Okay.
So that's 15 touchdowns from those two players, of which 11 came in the red zone. This could be as simple as Dan Campbell put it yesterday. Look, Laporta's a little hurt. We're bringing him along slowly. We've actually been worried about playing him too many snaps and developing Tim Patrick. Like, that could be the solution right there. Right there. Laporta, 7 red zone touchdowns last year. Josh Reynolds, 4. If Laporta's slowed by injury and Josh Reynolds isn't here, is that Patrick catching up and it feels like he's being crash course? 33 snaps is a lot of snaps for a guy who just got here. Feels like he's being crash coursed a little bit. And we'll ask Jared about that too. We got a lot. I don't know if we'll get it all in. Jared, we're going to need an extra 2 segments. Actually, we know that's not happening because they got to practice. Well, we've been given a hard out.
He doesn't need the reps or anything, right?
Oh, no, not at all.
No.
As far as long-term and quick fix, guys, I do think the red zone stuff is a quicker fix if you're making me choose between the two. I think the couple things that you just mentioned, Doug, with Josh Reynolds' replacement going to be Tim Patrick. Laporta's just still kind of sounds like he's getting over the injury. They want to get him, they were trying to ease him in week 1 and week 2. They got him in more. They got him more involved, of course. But you guys mentioned Hutchinson and Levi playing great and playing on the outside a lot last game, Gator, because he's versatile, right? James Houston was active, and he only played 3 snaps. Yeah. Now, is that a long-term thing where, they had no Marcus Davenport. So what they did was they moved Levi outside instead of playing Houston, and we know they'd love to use Barnes and Campbell rushing on the edge as well. Yep. What do you think it looks like long-term for James Houston?
I don't think it looks good, and I say that he's going to have to earn his way back out there. He's going to have to do it on the practice field because I don't know if he's going to get a whole lot of game time. What I saw in one of the plays he was in, it looked like he was so delayed in getting off of the snap. I was like, does he not know the ball was snapped? And then he kind of got into it. And it was really strange because I'm a big fan of his, and I'm fixated when he comes onto the field, and you couldn't miss him because he had like the white sleeves when he went out there. I'm like, oh, there he is. There's 41. Let's see what he can do. And it was disappointing to see him only get the 3 reps, and yet the last rep I saw, it was a useless one.
You remember Kerry Hyder?
Yeah.
Second year in Detroit, he had 8 sacks. And over the next...
In how many games?
He had 8 sacks in 16 games.
Mm-hmm.
He played, outside of that, he played 8 other games in Detroit and had 1 sack. Then he goes to Dallas, plays 16 games, has 1 sack. Then he goes to San Francisco, plays 16 games, has 8.5 sacks. Then he plays 15 games, has a sack and a half. 16 games, 1 sack. Sometimes you just have that incredible stretch, and it turns out to be the proverbial flash in a pan. I don't know. I really, really, really hope that that's not the case with James Houston, because it looked like he was a real find. But sometimes this happens.
Well, the thing I would counter that is that he had 8 sacks in 7 games in that first season. So the ratio is a hell of a lot different than what Kerry Hyder was.
Way better.
Okay, way better. The other thing is Baker Mayfield only dropped back to pass 24 times in the game. He was sacked 5 of those times, so he had 19 other pass plays. So it's not like there were a ton of options, of opportunities to rush the quarterback because he didn't throw it that much.
He scrambled a bunch too. He dropped back more than that, but
Well, I suppose you're right. He did have a handful of scrambles as well, but he wasn't given the. I mean, it's 3 plays. He got three chances. That was it.
yeah, it's not a lot. But
So I'm not writing him off. I'm just saying it was odd what I saw in the one pass rush. I'm like, my God, he's so late getting off the ball here, and you know what the Lions are doing with him because they have these other options that they're going with, and it feels like it's an opportunity missed for James Houston because he doesn't have the versatility that they would like to see from him. They wish that he was more of an outside linebacker than what he is, because what he is he's not really a defensive end because he's undersized. He's like 6'1", 6'2", and 240 pounds or whatever. So he's not one of these big guys at 6'5" and 270, and yet he doesn't have the skills to drop into coverage either. He's got the one skill, and it's great. It's like, you look at Shelby Miller, what we discussed earlier with the Tigers, and what Shelby Miller is. He's a right-hand pitcher that gets lefties out. He's a situational guy. And it's the same thing with James Houston, but I don't know how many opportunities he's going to get.